Picture this. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. The house is completely silent. You are finally in that deep, beautiful REM sleep, dreaming about winning the lottery and buying a private island. Suddenly, you hear it. A bizarre, unearthly sound coming from the living room, followed by the sound of something crashing to the floor and a weird scraping noise. Your heart is pounding. You wake up in a cold sweat. Is it a ghost? A burglar? No, it is just your cat, Mr. Whiskers, standing over a broken plant, staring at you with zero regret in his glowing little eyes. We have all been there, right? As cat parents, we are used to our furry little tyrants ruining our sleep. But have you ever wondered, is he doing this just to spite me? Is my cat broken? Or is there something deeper going on? Today, we are going to dive into the hilarious, bizarre, and sometimes terrifying world of nighttime cat behaviour. I am going to reveal the absolute truth about what your cat is doing in the dark, but more importantly, I am going to tell you exactly when that annoying midnight habit is actually a massive red flag. We are talking about the subtle signs that mean you need to grab the carrier and rush to the vet immediately. Drop a comment right now and tell me your cat's name and their most annoying 3 a.m. habit. Let's see who has the wildest little monster. Before we get into the scary stuff, let us set the stage and talk about why our cats turn into furry little gremlins as soon as the sun goes down. You see, despite the fact that your cat sleeps on a plush velvet pillow and eats premium salmon pâté from a crystal dish, deep down they still believe they are a fierce wild apex predator. Cats are naturally crepuscular. That is a fancy scientific word that means they are most active during the twilight hours of dawn and dusk. In the wild, this is when their prey, like mice and bugs, are out and about. So, while you're winding down with a cup of chamomile tea and Netflix, your cat's biological clock is ringing an alarm bell yelling, "Wake up! It is hunting time!" They sleep for 16 hours a day, specifically to save up all their explosive energy for exactly the moment your head hits the pillow. They are hunters, explorers, and solitary survivors by nature. So a lot of their pacing, jumping, and vocalizing at night is just their wild DNA talking. It is totally normal for them to patrol their territory, which happens to be your living room, and make sure no rival cats or dangerous moths have invaded. However, because cats are wild survivors, they are also masters of hiding pain. In the wild, a sick cat is a dead cat, so they pretend everything is fine until it is an absolute emergency. That is why nighttime, when the distractions of the day are gone, is often the only time their carefully hidden symptoms start to show. So, let us break down what is normal cat nonsense and what is a 3 a.m. veterinary emergency. Let's start with the absolute classic, the legendary 3 a.m. zoomies. We all know this one intimately. You are dead asleep and suddenly, BAM! A 10-pound furry cannonball launches off your stomach and sprints down the hallway like they owe money to the mafia. They are drifting around corners, parkouring off the sofa, and making sounds like a tiny horse on hardwood floors. This is completely normal cat behaviour. It's their inner wild predator coming out to hunt imaginary gazelles. But here is where you need to pay very close attention. If your cat's midnight marathon looks less like playful energy and more like sheer panic, you might have a problem. Are they running frantically and crashing into walls as if they can't see? Are their pupils fully dilated? And do they seem completely unresponsive to your voice? If your cat is tearing through the house, knocking things over clumsily, and seems terrified of their own body, this isn't the zoomies. This could be a sign of hyperthyroidism, acute pain, or even a neurological event, like a seizure or a stroke. If the running is accompanied by loud, distressed crying and clumsy crashing, do not just put a pillow over your head. This is a massive red flag. Your fluffy friend isn't just playing. They are trying to escape a feeling of intense internal discomfort, and they need professional medical help right away. Next up is the midnight vocal concert. You know the one. Your cat walks into the hallway, which has perfect acoustics, and starts yowling at the top of their lungs. It sounds like a mix between a crying baby and a dying siren. Often, this is just a manipulative tactic. They are bored, they want you to wake up, or they can see a tiny sliver of the bottom of their food bowl and consider it an absolute famine. If you yell back or get up, you reward them and they win. However, if this vocalization is new, especially in an older cat, you need to be on high alert. Cats who suddenly start howling at night, wandering aimlessly, or standing in corners looking confused could be suffering from feline cognitive dysfunction. Basically, cat dementia. They wake up in the dark, forget where they are, get terrified, and cry out for you. More dangerously, sudden, desperate yowling can be a sign of extreme pain. If your cat is yowling while crouching, or yowling while trying to use the litter box, this is an absolute emergency. High blood pressure, which is common in older cats with kidney issues, can also cause detached retinas, meaning your cat has suddenly gone blind in the dark and is crying out in terror. Never ignore a sudden change in your cat's nighttime vocal habits. Now let us talk about the litter box. Every cat parent knows the unmistakable sound of a cat aggressively digging in their litter box at 2 a.m. They dig like they are trying to reach the centre of the earth, do their business, and then spend another 10 minutes burying it, as if hiding evidence from the FBI. While it is incredibly annoying when you are trying to sleep, this elaborate ritual is entirely normal and shows they feel safe in their territory. But here is the absolute most critical warning sign on this entire list. If you hear your cat going in and out of the litter box multiple times in a short period, digging but producing nothing, get out of bed immediately. If you see them squatting, straining, and maybe crying out, but no urine is coming out, this is a life-threatening emergency. This is the classic sign of a urethral blockage, which is incredibly common in male cats. Crystals or mucus can form a plug in their urinary tract. When this happens, toxins build up in their bloodstream rapidly, and their bladder can literally rupture. A blocked cat can die within 24 to 48 hours if not treated. If your cat is doing the midnight litter box dance and producing nothing, do not wait until morning. Grab the carrier and go to the emergency vet right that very second. Let's move on to the terrifying midnight sounds. You are sleeping peacefully, and suddenly you hear the dreaded herk, herk, herk sound. It is the sound of a cat preparing to vomit, and it is the only sound known to science that can wake a human from a deep coma in 0.5 seconds. You scramble out of bed to move them off the expensive rug, but you are usually too late. A random hairball or a pile of undigested kibble because they ate too fast is gross, but generally not a crisis. However, if you hear your cat making a hacking sound, but they aren't throwing up, and they're extending their neck out straight while breathing heavily, this is not a hairball. This is a respiratory crisis. Cats are obligate nasal breathers. They do not pant like dogs unless they are incredibly stressed, overheated, or literally dying. If your cat is panting at night, breathing with an open mouth, or taking rapid, shallow breaths while their sides heave, they could be having a severe asthma attack or going into congestive heart failure. Fluid could be building up in their lungs. Open mouth breathing in a resting cat at night is never, ever normal. It means they are starving for oxygen. Do not try to comfort them and go back to sleep. This requires an oxygen tank and a vet immediately. We all know cats are fastidious groomers. They spend roughly half their waking hours licking themselves to make sure their fur is perfectly pristine. Hearing that rhythmic slurp, slurp, slurp from the foot of your bed is a common nighttime lullaby for cat owners. It means they are relaxed and getting ready to sleep. But grooming can cross the line from a healthy habit into a dangerous obsession very quickly. If you wake up and hear your cat violently biting, chewing, or frantically licking one specific spot on their body for hours on end, this is a giant red flag. Cats will often overgroom a specific area when they are in localized pain. For example, a cat with a urinary tract infection might relentlessly groom their belly or genital area. A cat with severe arthritis might bite and pull the fur out around their aching joints. Furthermore, if the grooming is manic and accompanied by skin twitching and sudden aggressive running, they might be dealing with a severe flea allergy or feline hyperactive syndrome, a neurological condition that makes their skin incredibly sensitive and painful. If your cat is literally pulling out chunks of their own beautiful fur in the dark, they are not just bored, they are trying to soothe a pain or itch that they simply cannot handle anymore. They need a doctor. Let's talk about the creepy behaviour. Have you ever woken up to find your cat sitting perfectly still in the pitch black, staring intently at a blank wall? It is enough to make you want to call an exorcist. We usually joke that they are seeing ghosts or tracking a microscopic bug that human eyes cannot detect. 99% of the time, their superpowered feline senses have just locked onto a sound inside the wall, like a mouse or a settling pipe. It is funny and completely normal, but there is a very specific, incredibly dangerous variation of this behaviour. If you turn on the light and your cat is not just staring at the wall, but actually pressing their head physically against the wall, a door or a piece of furniture, and just staying there. Panic. This is called head pressing. It is a classic, undeniable neurological symptom. It means your cat is experiencing severe trauma to their brain or nervous system. Head pressing can be caused by a brain tumour, a massive stroke, severe head trauma, or toxic poisoning that is swelling the brain, like liver failure. They press their head against hard objects to relieve the agonising pressure inside their skull. If you ever see your cat doing this, whether it is 3 a.m. or 3 p.m, drop everything you are doing and rush them to the animal hospital. Let's shift to something softer, snuggling. One of the best parts of having a cat is when they crawl into bed with you, purring like a tiny diesel engine, and start making biscuits on your favourite blanket. They knead with their paws to get comfortable, circle 3 times, and finally flop down against your leg. It is pure bliss. But what if they can't get comfortable? What if your cat jumps on the bed, lies down, immediately gets up, paces around, lies down in a different spot, sighs heavily, gets up again, and repeats this for an hour? This restlessness in the middle of the night is a major indicator of physical pain. Cats are professional sleepers. They can get comfortable on a pile of pointy Legos if they want to. So if your usually snuggly cat cannot find a position to settle in, their body is hurting. This is a very common early sign of osteoarthritis in older cats, severe gastrointestinal distress, or organ pain. Imagine having terrible stomach cramps or a throbbing backache. You would be tossing and turning all night too. If your cat's nighttime routine shifts from peaceful biscuit making to agitated, endless pacing and repositioning, they are silently begging you to notice that something is internally very wrong. A vet can help pinpoint the pain and get them back to sleeping soundly. How about a midnight snack? Cats are notorious grazers. If you leave dry kibble out, you will inevitably hear the crunch, crunch, crunch of your tiny predator having a 4 a.m. snack break. Totally normal. But let us talk about the water bowl. Cats naturally have a very low thirst drive because their wild ancestors got most of their moisture from the blood and tissue of their prey. Gross, but true. Because of this, you usually don't see your cat drinking water very often. If you wake up in the middle of the night and hear your cat aggressively lapping up water for an extended period, and this becomes a nightly habit, you need to take note. If you are suddenly having to refill their water bowl constantly, and the litter box is suddenly flooded with giant clumps of urine, your cat is in trouble. Excessive thirst and urination at night are the hallmark symptoms of 3 major feline killers: chronic kidney disease, feline diabetes, or hyperthyroidism. When a cat's kidneys start to fail, they cannot concentrate their urine, so they flush out massive amounts of water and become desperately dehydrated. If your cat is suddenly hanging out by the water bowl in the dark, treating it like an oasis in the desert, do not ignore it. Early blood work at the vet can catch these diseases before they become fatal. Now let us discuss the magic of the purr. Hearing your cat purr next to your ear at night is one of the most soothing sounds on the planet. It lowers human blood pressure and reduces anxiety. We naturally associate purring with a happy, content kitty. But here is a secret that many cat parents do not know. Cats do not just purr when they are happy. They also purr to self-soothe when they are terrified, severely stressed, or in agonizing pain. The frequency of a cat's purr has been shown to actually promote tissue regeneration and bone healing. So if your cat is injured, they turn on their internal healing hum. How do you tell the difference at 3 a.m? Look at the context. If your cat is curled up next to you, relaxed and purring, they are happy. But if you find your cat hiding under the bed, hunched in a tight meatloaf position, ears pinned back, eyes squinted, and they are purring loudly, this is a crisis. This is a pain purr. Our cats use this as a defense mechanism to calm themselves down when they are suffering from things like severe pancreatitis, a broken bone, or internal organ failure. Never assume that just because a cat is purring, they are fine. If the body language screams distress, the purr is actually a cry for help. We have all been woken up by the gentle, or sometimes not so gentle, tap of a soft paw on our face. Your cat wants breakfast, and they want it right now. It is annoying, but endearing. You usually reach out, give them a sleepy pet on the head, and tell them to wait until the sun comes up. But what happens if you reach out to stroke your cat in the dark, and they instantly hiss, growl, or violently bite your hand? If your normally sweet, affectionate cat suddenly turns into a feral demon when you touch a specific part of their body at night, you must not punish them. They are not being mean. They are protecting an incredibly painful area. Sudden aggression when touched is a prime indicator of localized pain. They could have a hidden abscess from a cat fight that is swollen and throbbing. They could have a severe spinal issue or intense abdominal pain from a blockage or inflamed organs. When they are sleeping or resting in the dark, their guard is down, and your unexpected touch sends a shockwave of pain through their body, resulting in a defensive strike. If your midnight cuddles suddenly turn into a bloodbath, your cat needs a full physical examination by a veterinarian to find out exactly where it hurts. Let's talk about sleeping locations. Cats love routine. Your cat probably has a rotation of favourite sleeping spots: the foot of the bed, the heated blanket on the sofa, the top of the cat tree, or even your clean laundry basket. They rotate through these spots with military precision. But if you wake up in the middle of the night and notice your cat is nowhere to be found, and you eventually locate them hiding in a bizarre, unusual place, like the back of a dark closet, under a dusty piece of heavy furniture, or behind the washing machine, you should be highly concerned. When a cat feels severely ill, their survival instinct tells them to hide from predators because they are weak. A cat that suddenly abandons their comfortable open sleeping spots to bury themselves in a dark, hard-to-reach corner is a cat that thinks they are dying. This is especially true if they refuse to come out when you shake the treat bag or call their name. Extreme lethargy and hiding in the dark are non-specific symptoms, meaning it could be anything from a severe fever and infection to advanced cancer. But it is always a guarantee that your cat feels incredibly vulnerable and sick. Do not drag them out to force cuddles. Gently get them into a carrier and seek medical help. Here is a scary one: clumsiness in the dark. Cats are famous for their agility, balance, and grace. They can jump onto a refrigerator in the pitch black without knocking over a single glass. So, if you are awakened by the sound of your cat crashing clumsily to the floor, missing a jump onto the bed, or walking like they are drunk, you need to spring into action. Sudden loss of coordination, stumbling, or walking in circles is not a funny, clumsy moment. It is a severe neurological or cardiovascular emergency. One of the most terrifying conditions in cats is called a saddle thrombus. This is when a blood clot forms in the heart and travels down to the base of the spine, cutting off blood supply to the hind legs. It happens incredibly fast. Your cat might jump off the bed, suddenly fall over, and drag their paralysed back legs while crying out in excruciating pain. Their paw pads will turn cold and blue. This is a life or death emergency where every single minute counts. Clumsiness in the dark can also indicate an inner ear infection affecting their balance, or toxic poisoning from chewing on a toxic houseplant like a lily. If your feline ninja suddenly loses their grace, get to the emergency vet. Let's discuss the weird mouth noises. Sometimes cats do this hilarious thing where they sit in the window at night, spot a moth or a bat outside, and their jaw starts vibrating rapidly while they make a funny ek 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 chattering sound. This is totally normal. It is an instinctual predatory behaviour. It means they are excited and frustrated they can't reach the prey. But what if there is no moth? What if you are lying in bed, the room is completely dark, and you hear your cat constantly smacking their lips, swallowing loudly, or grinding their teeth? This is not cute hunting behaviour. Constant lip smacking, excessive drooling, and loud, repeated swallowing are prime indicators of severe nausea. Your cat feels incredibly sick to their stomach. This could be caused by eating something toxic, a severe gastrointestinal blockage, or, very commonly in older cats, advanced kidney disease, which causes toxins to build up in the blood, leading to chronic nausea. Teeth grinding, in particular, is a sign of intense oral pain from rotting teeth or mouth ulcers. If your cat is sitting in the dark, looking miserable, and constantly smacking their lips like they just ate peanut butter, they are suffering and need anti-nausea medication and a proper diagnosis immediately. How about affection? We all love a clingy cat. It is adorable when your cat follows you to the bathroom at night, rubs against your legs, and demands to be the centre of attention. But you know your cat's baseline personality better than anyone. If your usually independent, aloof cat, the one who normally only tolerates 3 pets before walking away, suddenly becomes aggressively, obsessively clingy at 3 a.m, something is wrong. We are talking about frantic rubbing, headbutting you continuously, vocalising loudly in your face, and refusing to leave your side for a single second. While we might mistake this for a sudden burst of love, it is often a sign of intense anxiety or distress. They feel that something is wrong with their body, they are scared, and they are seeking out their giant furless parent for protection and help. This sudden behavioural shift can happen just before a cat goes into labour, but if your cat is spayed or male, it can precede a major medical event like a seizure, a severe asthma attack, or passing a urinary stone. If your cat is acting frantically clingy and looking at you with wide, panicked eyes, they are trying to tell you, "Human, I am scared, fix me." Do not ignore this plea for help. Let's look at their eyes. Cats have incredible night vision. Their pupils can dilate to cover almost their entire eye, pulling in every tiny particle of light. Seeing 2 giant, glowing orbs staring at you from the hallway can be a bit spooky, but it is a marvel of evolution. However, if you turn on the bedside lamp to see what they are doing, take a quick look at those pupils. In bright light, both pupils should instantly constrict into thin, vertical slits. If you shine a light and notice that one pupil shrinks into a tiny slit, but the other pupil remains massive and fully dilated, you have a massive emergency on your hands. This condition is called anisocoria, and it means unequal pupil sizes. It is never, ever normal. It is a direct indicator of severe trauma to the head, a brain lesion, a dangerous spike in blood pressure, or a localized eye disease like glaucoma, which is incredibly painful and can lead to permanent blindness in hours. If your cat's eyes look uneven, mismatched, or if they are keeping one eye tightly clamped shut in the dark while pawing at it, bypass your regular vet appointment and head straight to an emergency clinic to save their vision and potentially their life. Another bizarre nighttime behaviour involves their relationship with food. We talked about grazing, but what about the cat that suddenly becomes obsessed with non-food items in the middle of the night? You wake up and hear a strange crunching sound, only to find your cat happily chewing on a plastic grocery bag, a wool blanket, or the leaves of a houseplant. This behaviour is called pica. While some cats are just weirdos who like the texture of plastic, a sudden onset of pica in the middle of the night can indicate a serious dietary deficiency, severe anemia, or feline leukemia. Their body is craving nutrients it isn't getting, so their brain tells them to eat everything in sight. Even worse if they actually swallow that plastic bag, hair tie, or string they found on the floor at 2 a.m. It can cause a linear foreign body obstruction. The string gets wrapped around the base of their tongue or their intestines, causing the bowels to bunch up like an accordion. It is agonizing and highly fatal without immediate surgery. If you catch your cat eating non-food items at night, especially strings or plastics, you must clear your house of these hazards and get them to a vet for blood work to find out why they are suddenly craving trash. Let's talk about breathing again, specifically snoring. Many cats snore, especially flat-faced breeds like Persians or Himalayans, or older cats who are a bit overweight. A quiet, rhythmic little snore coming from the foot of the bed is endearing. But if your previously silent sleeper suddenly starts snoring like a 300-pound man with sleep apnea, it is time to investigate. Sudden, loud, rattling breathing, wheezing or whistling sounds when they inhale or exhale are warning signs. This can indicate a severe upper respiratory infection, a nasal polyp that is blocking their airway, or worse, fluid in the chest cavity pushing on their lungs. A healthy cat's breathing should be almost completely silent and effortless, even when they are in a deep sleep. If you have to turn up the volume on your television because your cat's breathing is so loud, their airway is compromised. Count their sleeping respiratory rate. If they are taking more than 30 breaths per minute while completely asleep, or if their stomach is forcefully pushing in and out with every breath, their lungs are in distress. Do not wait for them to start panting or turning blue. Get them oxygen and veterinary care immediately. Let's consider the environment they create. Cats are clean animals. They cover their waste, they groom themselves, and they like a tidy living area. One of the most subtle, yet serious, nighttime signs of illness is a sudden drop in their personal hygiene and habits. Have you woken up to find that your cat has urinated or defecated right next to the litter box, or worse, right on your bed or the sofa? It is easy to get angry and think they are doing this for revenge because you bought the cheap cat food. But cats do not act out of spite. If a perfectly litter-trained cat suddenly starts having accidents in the dark, they are either in physical pain or they are terrified of the litter box. If it hurts them to pee because of an infection or crystals, they associate the litter box with that pain, so they look for a soft place, like your duvet, hoping it won't hurt there. Or, if they have arthritis, stepping over the high edge of the litter box in the dark is just too painful. Inappropriate elimination at night is your cat waving a giant white flag saying, "My body is failing me, and I don't know what to do." Punishing them will only make the stress and the illness worse. Take them to the vet. So with all these weird behaviours, how is a cat parent supposed to sleep at night without constant anxiety? How do you know when to go back to sleep and when to panic? I want you to remember the 3S rule for evaluating midnight cat behaviour: sudden, severe, and strange. First, is it sudden? If your cat has been sleeping on your head for 10 years, that is normal. If they have never done it before and suddenly start doing it frantically tonight, that is a red flag. Second, is it severe? A small hairball hack is one thing. 20 minutes of non-stop dry heaving is severe. Third, is it strange for your specific cat? You know your cat's baseline. You know their quirks, their normal meows, and their silly habits. If your cat does something that makes the hairs on your arm stand up, and your gut instinct says, "This is wrong," listen to your gut. Do not ask a Facebook group for advice at 3 a.m. while your cat is struggling to breathe. It is always better to pay an emergency vet bill and be told your cat just has a tummy ache from eating a spider than to wait until morning and realise you waited too long. You are your cat's only advocate. Finally, let's talk about being prepared. Emergencies never happen at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. They always happen at 3 a.m. on a Sunday when your regular vet is closed. If your cat exhibits any of the dangerous signs we talked about tonight, panting, frantic yowling, straining in the box, or sudden paralysis, you do not have time to panic. You need to be ready. Always keep your cat carrier out in the open. not buried in a closet under old coats. Leave the door open with a soft blanket inside so your cat is not terrified of it. Keep a sticky note on your fridge with the address and phone number of the nearest 24-hour emergency animal hospital. Know exactly how to get there in the dark. If you have to scoop up a painful, panicking cat in the middle of the night, throw a thick towel over them first. This protects you from being bitten or scratched by a terrified animal, and the darkness of the towel will instantly help calm them down. Gently bundle them up, place them in the carrier, and go. Being prepared turns a midnight panic attack into a swift, life-saving mission. Your cat relies entirely on you to protect them when their wild instincts fail. And there you have it, fellow cat parents. Now you know exactly what is going on in that mysterious, fluffy little head when the lights go out. We have covered the difference between a harmless case of the 3 AM zoomies and a life-threatening medical emergency. Remember, our cats might act like independent, untamed tigers, but underneath all that attitude, they are vulnerable little creatures who rely entirely on us to keep them safe. Despite the interrupted sleep, the weird noises, and the occasional midnight heart attacks they give us, we absolutely adore these little weirdos, don't we? They bring so much joy, laughter, and comfort into our lives. If you learned something new today that might help you keep your fur baby safe, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with every cat parent you know. You could literally save a cat's life tonight. Now, I have a question for you before you go. What is the absolutely weirdest, funniest, or most annoying thing your cat has ever done in the middle of the night? Tell me the full story down in the comments. I promise to read and reply to them. Until next time, give your kitty a big scratch behind the ears from me and sleep well. If they let you.